My name is Victoria Dehart, and this is my mock interview assignment. I am interviewing for a full-time registered dietitian position at Nutrition Health Works, which is a private practice.
Hi, Victoria. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what drew you to private practice as a registered dietitian?
I just recently finished up my Master of Science with a concentration in nutrition, and I finished my DI with NutriCo and gained my registered dietitian's license. My passion for nutrition began when I was personally saw the life-changing effects of nutrition. I've had severe eczema since a young age, and many of the prescribed steroids and medicines were no help to me. And then in high school, I sought to find a solution on my own and discovered the eczema diet. And this was just an elimination diet of gluten, dairy, and red meat. And this is where I really saw a complete change in my life from the inside out thanks to nutrition. In combination with this personal experience and passion to help people who were just like me, I am drawn to private practice because of my time actually spent with Nutrition Health Works as an intern. During this time, I saw the needs of so many people being met through nutrition. The opportunity to build a deeper and more personalized relationship with clients and truly see long-term impact of nutrition counseling is one that I strive for in a career. I appreciate the flexibility and autonomy that private practice offers as well, and I'm driven by the change to make a meaningful difference in people's lives. And private practice gives me the space and tools to do just that.
How do you approach building rapport with new clients, especially with those who might feel overwhelmed or hesitant about nutrition counseling?
I would approach this with new clients by creating a welcoming, non-judgmental space from the first interaction. I understand that many clients come in feeling overwhelmed, vulnerable, and maybe even ashamed about their eating habits, so my first goal would be to help them feel heard and understood. I put into practice active listening without rushing to offer solutions or interrupting. I want them to know that I understand that making changes is hard, especially with something as personal as food. My goal isn't to make huge goals and changes, it's just ones that they feel like they can achieve. I emphasize the fact that we're a team, so we're just working together. I'm here to guide them at a pace that feels comfortable, but build trust as well. And focus on the small wins and celebrate any progress, no matter how minor.
Walk me through how you structure a typical initial consultation with a client. What information do you prioritize gathering?
In initial consultation, my goal would be to get the full picture of the client, clinically and personally. I'd like to start with a brief introduction and welcome to ease any nerves, and from there I'd structure the consultation with a few key parts included. These would be the chief concerns and goals. I would ask the client what brought them in and what they hope to achieve, and this will sort of center the session around their needs. Health history and medical background. Then dietary intake and eating patterns. We would go through a 24-hour recall for a typical day of eating. And then lifestyle assessment. This would include physical activity, daily routines, any support systems they have or barriers to change, and then initial education and goal setting. So if time allows, I provide some light education tailored to their concerns, and then we'll collaboratively set 1 to 2 small achievable goals to focus on the next session. I would then document everything in their chart and make sure that to end the session with space for questions, clear next steps, and the reassurance that this is a process, not just a quick fix.
In private practice, you likely encounter clients with complex or overlapping conditions like diabetes, disordered eating, things like that. How do you balance medical nutrition therapy and behavior change strategies?
When working with clients who have overlapping conditions like diabetes and disordered eating, I prioritize a balanced client-centered approach that honors both their medical needs and their relationship with food. First, I want to focus on building trust and safety. Clients with disordered eating histories often have a complicated relationship with food, so I avoid rigid meal plans or overly prescriptive nutrition advice that could be triggering. Instead, I would use a non-diet, weight-neutral approach like intuitive eating. And that's just depending on what's appropriate for the client. That said, I don't ignore the medical side. I gently weave in the MNT by helping the client understand how certain foods or eating patterns might affect their blood sugar, for example, without labeling foods as good or bad. I work on small behavioral goals that support both conditions, like improving meal consistency, reducing blood sugar variability, or finding enjoyable movement.
What's your experience with developing personalized meal plans, and how do you ensure they are realistic and sustainable for clients?
Throughout my time in my first internship at the Iredell Wellness and Diabetes Center, I was able to observe various one-on-one counseling sessions that included personalized meal plans, and I was also able to observe this throughout my time at Nutrition Health Works. From these experiences, I've learned to take the approach to meal planning that is collaborative, not prescriptive. Rather than handing over a rigid plan, I work closely with the client to create something that feels realistic, flexible, and aligned with their lifestyle, culture, budget, and food preferences. I usually start by identifying their typical eating patterns, cooking skills, and then any barriers, like time constraints or access to certain foods. Also, regularly check in and adapt the plan as needed. Life changes, and so should their plan. My goal is always sustainability. If it doesn't work in the real world, then it's not working for the client.
Since private practice often involves solo or independent work, how do you stay organized with client records, follow ups, and continuing education?
Staying organized is key in private practice, especially when juggling multiple responsibilities like client care, documentation, and ongoing learning. For client records and scheduling, I have learned from Nutrition Health Works how to use Healthy, which streamlines note taking, billing, and appointment reminders. I set aside dedicated time after each session for charting, and I always end my workday by reviewing the next day's schedule to prep accordingly. To stay on track, I use automated reminders, a to-do list. And then as for continuing education, I make it a priority. I subscribe to a few key journals and newsletters, and I set monthly goals to attend webinars, earn CEUs, or complete trainings. I also participate in online RDN communities and case consult groups to stay sharp and connected, even while working independently. Having structure with built-in flexibility keeps me efficient while still allowing me to show up fully for my clients. Number 7.
Private practice often requires a business mindset. What experience do you have with marketing, billing, scheduling, or using the EHR systems?
I've embraced the business side of private practice as an important part of providing a seamless professional experience for clients, and I've really enjoyed building those skills. I have hands-on experience with EHR platforms like Meditech and Healthy, which I've used for everything from charting and client messaging to intake forms, billing, and telehealth sessions. I've also helped set up payment systems and am familiar with private pay and insurance billing processes, including super bill generation and verifying coverage for nutrition services. On the marketing side, I've created content for social media, I've written blog posts, and developed email newsletters to engage both current and potential clients. I understand the value of branding, SEO, and using platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn strategically to build credibility and attract clients who align with my niche.
How do you stay current with the latest research and nutrition trends? Can you give an example of how you've applied something recent in practice?
Staying current is something I take seriously because nutrition is an evolving field, and I want to ensure that I'm giving my clients the most up-to-date evidence-based care. I regularly read peer-reviewed journals like the Journal of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and I subscribe to updates from professional organizations like A&D. A recent example of applying new research and practice is around continuous glucose monitoring and its role in non-diabetic clients. After diving into newer studies on CGM, use in metabolic flexibility, and personalized nutrition, I had a client who was frustrated with energy crashes despite eating healthy. I suggested we explore her glucose trend using a CGM in collaboration with the RDN I was under and her doctor, and we used the data to adjust meal timing and macronutrient balance. She found it super empowering, and we were able to improve her energy levels and reduce her midday crashes within a few weeks. I'm always looking for ways to translate complex science into practical, empowering guidance, and I love when clients get excited about the why behind what they are doing.
Tell me about a time you had a challenging client, maybe resistant to change or frustrated with progress. How did you handle the situation?
One client that comes to mind was a woman working on emotional eating and weight neutral diabetes management. She was feeling really discouraged after several weeks of sessions saying, I'm not seeing any results, so what's the point? Even though we had made progress with her blood sugar, she wasn't eating more consistently, and she was frustrating that it didn't feel like enough. Rather than trying to convince her otherwise, I paused and validated her feelings. I said something like, it makes total sense that you're feeling frustrated right now. Let's talk about what progress means to you or what you expected coming into this. That opened the door to more honest conversation about her expectations and helped us reframe success beyond the scale or quick fixes. We revisited her original goals and mapped out the small wins. That visual helped her shift her mindset. By the end of the session, she said, okay, I guess I'm doing better than I thought, which was a huge turning point. For me, the challenging clients are an opportunity to slow down, meet them where they are emotionally, and help them reconnect with their why rather than just pushing them toward the next outcome.
Why do you think you're a good fit for this role and practice specifically?
I believe I'm a great fit for this role and your practice because my values and approach to nutrition truly align with the kind of care that you guys provide, which I had the privilege of seeing carried out firsthand. Client-centered, compassionate, evidence-based, and rooted in building sustainable habits, not quick fixes. I also think that I can bring values in terms of flexibility and creativity, whether it's developing resources, contributing to workshops or social media, or helping streamline client communication systems. I love the blend of clinical work and the entrepreneurial spirit that private practice offers, and I'm excited about the chance to grow with a team that shares that passion. Ultimately, I'm here to help clients feel more connected to their bodies, more confident in their choices, and supported every step of the way, and I'd be honored to do this as a part of your team.